So what is going on, Kingdom Hearts fans? It's your boy Amaziah here, and today we're going to be hopping into these 13 secret reports, baby. As you know, they always hide some little bit of information that everybody should know. And today I'm going to be reading them for you guys. So if you want to, just, of course, put your earphones in, go ahead and get ready to listen. I'll talk about every single report and what information it reveals to us after we finish reading it. I've always done it that way. But let's go ahead and get right into it. And later on this week, I'll be doing a secret report guide to where you can find all of the secret reports, which are based on the battle gates within, of course, the different worlds within Kingdom Hearts 3. So it'll be more so like a battle gate location video. But of course, also, I wanted to go ahead and bring you guys this first. So we start off with recollections. Am I alive? I awoke in a cell alone until the researchers came with their tests and their prodding to uncover my identity. I had no answer to offer them. 4 friends and a key, that is the sum total of my memory. I could not even recall my name. I was simply called X there. My only solace was the time I spent talking with the 2 boys who would visit from time to time. One day a man came to take me from the prison. I could not see him for the darkness save that he wore an eye patch. Even now, years on, I feel no closer to understanding who or what I am. May my heart be my guiding key. Unknown. So, this is starting to sound like this is Gold, and it sounds exactly like the character that, of course, multiple different characters bring up throughout the story of Kingdom Hearts 3. We have Ansem, the Seeker of Darkness, Lea and Isa, they bring her up as well. So this is starting to sound like it is in fact Gold, as she mentioned 4 friends and a key, and then she also states the line from the Age of Fairy Tales, may my heart be my guiding key, which is starting to sound like, of course, the 4 other, of course, Union leaders that are now Union leaders within Kingdom Hearts Union Cross, and her herself, which would make 5. But of course, the key and may my heart be my guiding key line is really what points to it being Scold. So she says at the end that a man with an eye patch. So we know that, of course, Ansem the Seeker of Darkness and Ansem the Wise knew about the girl, or Ansem the Seeker of Darkness knew about the girl, and obviously, of course, Ansem the Wise seemed to have known about the girl to Ansem the Seeker of Darkness. And due to that fact, he thought that he hid her somewhere. But we see now that, of course, that it's mentioned that a man who wore an eye patch came for her and took her away. As she states in the very beginning, I awoke in a cell alone until the researchers came with their test prodding for my... No, wait. Am I alive? That's the question. And then it said, I had no answers to offer them and I spent talking with 2 boys. Okay. She says, I was simply called X there, meaning she was there in past tense. So it seems like this has something to do with who we now know to be Lushu, actually, of course, coming to get, of course, Scold, who he knows to be one of the new Union leaders. So number 2 says, Mark of Mastery Journal. Some days have passed since I set off on my journey to prepare for the Mark of Mastery examination. Eric has asked for leave to undertake the same pilgrimage, but apparently I am to be first to tour the worlds written of in the old fairy tales. Until a few short years ago, I known only my own world, a speck of land surrounded by sea, but how I dreamed of, yearned for the world beyond. And granted guidance from the future, I left that nest behind. As I treaded the path to my master's side, I came in contact with darkness in many forms. I knew even then, as by instinct, terrifying as its power was, it could be harnessed, mastered. Ericus is a blue blood, descended from the very first masters in the Age of Fairy Tales. But I did not come this far to indulge in adulation. I will be his peer, his equal, and to do that, I must learn to wield the power born from both darkness and light in proper balance. So this seems to be events that take place literally probably right after their chess game, in which, of course, Xehanort mentions, obviously, in his first reports in Kingdom Hearts Birth by Sleep, that he left, of course, the land of departure to travel worlds. This was a task that he was tasked with. Although back then it was said that him and Ericus did leave. So I'm guessing they kind of retconned it, and now it's just Xehanort that left. And because of this, of course, he went to the worlds of the Age of Fairy Tales. What the hell? That is so. It seems like they used the Book of Prophecies apparently to traverse, and this is probably how they knew about on that land shall darkness prevail and light expire. Excerpts of the Heart. Note on Subject X, Excerpt 1. Subject was found in the central square shortly after dawn. Female, apparently 15 years old. After 7 days' observation, she spoke her first words, but could not provide a name. Subject exhibits signs of profound amnesia and displays concern about which world this is. Her words suggest that she departed from home with others, though she cannot recall the names of her erstwhile companions. All efforts to explore those memories have met with a rejection response. After his initial experiments on me, Ansem the Wise ceased his research into the heart, his hand stayed by some fear I cannot fathom. Yet this new subject is like me, devoid of memories. She is the perfect sample upon which to continue my master's work. She too could benefit from it. By traversing the heart, we have a direct path into memory. I myself have begun to reclaim my lost past thanks to these very experiments. Who is she? Whence has she come? These are questions no scientist could ignore, and the words she muttered, may your heart be your guiding key. Xehanort. So, this is how Ansem, the Seeker of Darkness, got a hold of the girl. It seems like only he got a hold of the girl, and of course the reason why he started to experiment on her is because Ansem the Wise has ceased his experiments on Xehanort, or Ansem, the Seeker of Darkness, who he became, obviously, and of course he seems to know or see this connection between them as a definite possibility to see if he can get his memory back as well completely, as of course he continues these experiments from Ansem the Wise on this young girl. Experiments of the Heart. Notes on Subject X, Excerpt 2. Subject's memory have not returned, and our conversations remain less than lucid. What fragments can be gleaned evoke a bygone world, like one out of fairy tales. As improbable as it seems, the question may not be where she has come from, but when. If she truly has crossed through time, the prospect of probing her heart is all the more compelling. My pilot studies used a handful of subjects, but none possessed the fortitude to endure them. Ultimately, all suffered mental collapse. I knew it would be a heavy blow to lose a subject as unique as she. Upon discovering the test I've been conducting, my master demanded that I cease my work immediately and destroy what research I have compiled. Worse still, he ordered the release of my remaining subjects. She is gone. Where is Subject X now? Has wise Master Ansem hidden her away? Whatever the case, I will not be deterred. I will take her place as the first subject in the grand experiment to come. And this seems to be the experiment that he's mentioning, I'm 100% certain, is the one we see at the beginning of Kingdom Hearts Dream Drive Distance, in which, of course, Xigbar or Braig is the character that carries out the actual experiment, while the rest of the members that eventually became the Organization 13's first few members are, of course, used in the experiment with Ansem or Xehanort becoming Ansem, the Seeker of Darkness, and Xemnas, respectively. Memoirs. Excerpt 1. The castle was a wonderland to us children. Within its walls, Ansem the Wise conducted his research, and the fruits it bore allowed everyone outside to live in peace and happiness. That alone was enough to stoke our interest, though not all of the rumors that escaped its walls were so benevolent. By night, the muffled sounds of human wails emerged. There was talk of dangerous human experimentation. Lea and I couldn't help but hatch a plot to steal inside and sate our curiosity. The two who stood guard at the gates were researchers themselves, though you wouldn't think it to see them. though you wouldn't think it to see them. What the hell? To see them, massive and barrel-chested as they were. And slipping past that duo was only the first hurdle. It proved one not easily cleared. We were found and tossed out on our ears time and again. This is what you can see at the end of Birth by Sleep. On the day we finally secured our entry, we descended the long spiral stair at the heart of the castle to find a dark space below it, lined with cages. There wasn't light enough to see if they were inhabited, and we were in no position to call out to any occupants within. Yet we could feel it, a definite presence, there in the black. Terror washed over us as we immediately regretted coming, but just as we turned to flee, we heard the faintest of voices. The urge to run was nigh overpowering, but someone or something beckoned us on. There, framed by a tenuous sliver of light, we found her. Syx. Oh, so cool. Memoirs, Excerpt 2. It was too dim to make out her features. We spoke to her in hushed whispers. Who was she? Why was she in prison here? She had no answers for us, had no memories at all. She was an enigma, but I knew I wanted to help her. And so we continued our infiltrations. Most of them stopped short at the castle gates. When we did manage our way inside, we spoke with her, and that was all the comfort two children like us could offer. But Lee had other ideas. He was determined to free her. We slipped into the castle that day, knowing only that we wanted with all our hearts to save her. But we did not find her on that day or the next or any of our subsequent visits. Had she been moved? Had we simply imagined her? Lee and I knew there was only one way to be certain, and so we stand before the castle gates today, not as trespassing children, but in order to become Ansem the Wise's newest apprentices. Nice. So, that's a little bit of their backstory, finally. On the Replica program and reanimation. Following my erasure and my recompletion as a human, I did not awaken right away. Perhaps the damage was exceptionally grave. Even after waking, I remained in bed, pondering my next course of action. In my work on the Replica program for the organization, I produced some 20 vessels. Most of the early results were failures, not one of them granted a number. The first success to emerge from that early lot was the Riku Replica. Subsequently, Shion, number... I don't know Roman numerals. I don't even think that's Roman numerals. Number 1 was essentially indistinguishable from a natural human, though she became unstable due to the influence of others. Using those two as my foundation, I worked to construct a number of nigh-perfect replicas. But just as they neared completion, my efforts were cut short. I suspect Xehanort aims to use both the initial lot as well as the unused replicas from my later work. I arose today and decided to walk out to the square, my first outing in some time, yet my stroll was interrupted when a surprising visitor appeared with an unexpected offer. Though younger than me, he'd risen to become Xemnas' right hand. I accepted his terms and became a nobody once more. Easier to gain access to the old Replica program that way, whatever it takes to atone. So, it seems like he was approached by young Xehanort, and this is obviously vexing. It seems like he was approached by young Xehanort, who he says became Xemnas' right hand, which of course, if you remember in Kingdom Hearts Dream Drop, No, Kingdom Hearts Recoded's new ending. That's what I'm thinking of. I was thinking, of course, the cutscene at the beginning of Dream Drop Distance. Kingdom Hearts Recoded's new ending, we know that Braig does tell young Xehanort that Lord Xemnas isn't here. That means things have already started, which is before the events of Kingdom Hearts Dream Drop Distance, in which, of course, it seems like young Xehanort is under Xemnas, so that would make sense. The real organization. Xehanort seeks to gather 12 vessels, which together with his true actual self, he considers the real Organization 13. Now that he has the numbers he needs, Demix and I are being treated as reserves. Vexen again. Several others who serve Xemnas and the old organization have followed the same course as mine, electing to abandon their newly restored humanity and rejoin the real organization as nobodies, but not Xemnas. Xemnas cannot exist in the present because there is already a Xehanort here, the old man in charge. The old man's humanity prevents his heartless and nobody, others vanquished in the past, and his younger self from being denizens of this time. To circumvent this, Xehanort is using the prototype replicas I created in the past as containers, plucking his old other selves' hearts from the time they existed. Xehanort ordered me to refine the prototypes to make them closer still to the real thing, perfecting my creation so that they may house true flesh and blood humans suits my own purposes as well. All that remains for my atonement is to devise a way to pass on as many of the vessels as I can to those who truly deserve them. Damn, dudes, this is perfect. I needed this information. I needed this information because I wanted to explain Roxas's return. And it seems like this is exactly that information. It says here that, of course, what he's doing, or what Master Xehanort, so Old Man Xehanort, had Vexen do in his role and why he was benched, was because of the fact that he wanted him to just go ahead and produce new replicas. These new replicas would be almost human-like, which is what we hear from Marluxia within the actual game itself, within the cutscenes. And when he actually brings this up, it seems like what he's saying here is that obviously when it comes to characters like Xemnas or obviously Ansem the Seeker of Darkness, they could not exist because Master Xehanort exists. So that must be a new law that they're adding to time travel, rather than of course Master Xehanort existing, and then of course because of the fact that he exists, then they can exist too because they come from the time portal that is Master Xehanort. No, because of his true form actually existing, they cannot exist as well, meaning that they need to be nothing more than hearts and then given new forms. This is exactly what happens with Roxas and why Roxas is required to be a replica, and the same thing goes for Namine at the end of the game. They're required to be replicas who are now more or less humans. They're more so like bodies and stuff, like containers for hearts. They're like humanoid containers for hearts now. They're not just replicas in the sense of how Riku Replica and Shion are. They're actually like humans. And with that being the case, obviously, now these characters can return. They can be here without needing Master Xehanort or Sora or Kairi to be vanquished, which is exactly what it's talking about here. So that's a good little bit of information there for like how Roxas returns or why he returns. And then he says the ones that truly deserve them, which is obviously of course Roxas and Namine. Although I don't understand how he knows these things, or unless, of course, maybe he had some type of information. Well, it seems like, of course, his very beginning into the organization was nothing more than him wanting to follow Xehanort to their masters, so to Master Ansem the Wise. So cool. Ansem, Conspectus, Excerpt 1. I have poured over the data my master entrusted to Riku. Here I offer my preliminary conclusions. Within Sora's heart are 3 compartmentalized boxes, each containing the heart of another. One box holds Roxas, another holds a second heart that has been with Sora nearly as long. The third has held its heart for much longer. These hearts have melded with Sora's and no longer have voices of their own. Any attempt to mechanically extract them could prove as dire for Sora as what caused him to become a Heartless in the first place. So pretty much when he stabbed himself in Kingdom Hearts 1 with the Keyblade of people hearts. First, a vessel for each heart must be readied. Then, a spark of some sort is required to induce its waking. Obviously, the ideal solution is to restore each heart to its own body, but whatever the case for the 2 unknown individuals, Roxas possesses no such thing. The same is true for Namine, who we believe resides in Kairi's heart. Still, if alternate bodies could Still, if alternate bodies can be secured for them, all their hearts require to be awakened is that spark. People they cared for and who cared for them, who can show them the way home. Complete and perfect digitalization of the heart is impossible. We can only hope to partially reconstruct it. Thus, I see no way to forward but to extract the hearts we so desperately need directly from within Sora. Fortunately, the data stored in Twilight Town contains a near perfect record of the memories of those who live there, and for Roxas and Namine especially, this is crucial. Okay, good. More information on Roxas's return, boys. So and gals. Let me not disrespect boys and gals. So it seems like when it comes to their return, what happens here is that he's speaking about, of course, what appears to be Roxas, Xion, and Ventus. Obviously, with Ventus's case, he has the ability to just come back because there is a vessel out there. Somehow they were able to find out that there is a vessel out there for the third heart that has been with Sora the longest. So with that being the case, of course, now he only needed to find out about the other two hearts. These other two hearts are Xion and Roxas respectively. So Xion was recreated, if you remember, during the events of Kingdom Hearts 3, obviously by Vexen, with Roxas still being within Sora. So when Sora and Xion had their little clash and he called out to her, Roxas did, obviously, this was the spark for her that transformed, of course, the Xion replica or the Xion puppet within Kingdom Hearts 3 to become the Xion of the past. It restored her memories. And then with Roxas, the case was that, obviously, Xemnas was threatening not only Xion, but Lea as well, or Axel, and that's what sparked him to return as well. So that's very fucking cool, dudes. I know a lot of people, when they read this, they were saying, oh, there's another heart. And at first I believed it too, but reading it now, it kind of makes sense. What he's saying is that, of course, there's a spark that's needed, and that's why we don't really see the hearts actually leave. But it is still kind of weird, though, to say that the spark happened for Roxas within, of course, obviously the Keyblade graveyard, and somehow the vessel got there for him. Somehow. I don't know how that vessel got there, but okay. But it does say here as well that complete digitalization of a heart is impossible. We can only hope to partially reconstruct it. Thus, I see no way forward but to extract the hearts we so desperately need directly from within Sora. Fortunately, the data stored in Twilight Town contains a near perfect record of the memories of those who live there, and for Roxas and Namine especially, this is crucial. So it seems like what it's saying here is that, of course, the connections and friendships, that's how they were going to do it before, and this was the importance of like the computer at the beginning of Kingdom Hearts 3 that never really became prevalent again. That was because they were going to use, I think, the Hainer Pensinolette from that time to actually bring the Roxas out, and bringing the Roxas out would be able to bring out the Namine within Kairi. So I think that's pretty cool. Ansem Code Conspectus Excerpt 2. As for how to contain their hearts, the only conceivable option is the replicas. If we transfer in the digital memories from the Twilight Town archive, the replicas should be able to reconstruct each individual's human appearance with near perfect results. Then their hearts need only the right spark to wake them, so they may find their way out of Sora and Kairi and into those newly made bodies. See, that's exactly what I just said. That's exactly what I just said. The replica program was truly revolutionary, but it was incomplete at the time of the old organization's dissolution. Without Evan, how are we to further the research? We need at least 3 replicas. One for Roxas, one for Namine, and one for the unknown stowaway within Sora's heart. Okay, so they didn't find out, of course, about Ventus. They didn't find out about that. Unless that's not Ventus. But it did seem like before that's exactly what he was saying. That they knew somehow that that heart did belong to somebody else. Those are difficult quandaries. But as I work through my master's data, I find myself remembering the taste of ice cream. And when I was a boy, he would bring me some when we took walks together. There will be time to regret my betrayal later. For now, my focus must be on restoring Roxas and Namine and proving my master had good intentions. Ienzo. Dudes, Ienzo is that man, dog. Dog, I love the Ienzo story in Kingdom Hearts 3. I mean, it may be short, it may be, of course, simple and sweet, But obviously, him revealing that the only reason he was ever a part of the Organization 13 was because he thought that Ansem had abandoned him. All of that, oh man, that was so beautiful. Observations, Excerpt 1. I have seen it through the Keyblade War. I have seen it through the Keyblade War unfolded exactly as written on the lost page. Now the Keyblade, the master entrusted to me must be bequeathed to another. Oh, yeah, I get it. 5 union leaders have been chosen from the surviving dandelions. Oh, remember what I said in the first one? From the dandelions, I will pass the Keyblade to one of them, and then continue watching the future unfold. Yet it seems that someone has pulled the old switcheroo. One of the 5 is an imposter, someone the master did not choose. They represent a virus in the program he so carefully wrote. The virus has begun a strange undertaking, a reckless plot to allow the 5 to escape into another world line. Holy fuck, dude. Surely such a thing can't be possible. We're talking about the same trick that allowed the dandelions to transfer to other world lines after the Keyblade War. But these children are no masters. They haven't the means unless, of course, a certain lady of magic summoned here from the future knows more than I do. Maleficent, dudes. Fucking Maleficent, bro. So Maleficent seemed to have placed Brain because recently we got an update for Kingdom Hearts Key. And Brain, although this is weird because how would Brain, how? We know that Brain just recently got revealed to have the Book of Prophecies. Right. Brain called himself a virus. He called himself a virus as he's trying to save everyone from ruin. Okay. God damn it, dude. Kingdom Hearts is going mad places. Brain calls himself a virus. Lucio here is mentioning a fucking virus. So he's obviously that virus. And he says here something about the Master of Masters created like some kind of data construct or something like that for these characters to be here. This is the same thing that allowed them to escape the world that was destroyed. This is why we don't see them going through that era of darkness before the Princesses of Heart or the children with light in their hearts rebuilt the worlds. That's why that's not happening yet. That's why we didn't see it in Kingdom Hearts Key. So with this, it seems to be that, obviously, my bad. With this, it seems to be that what's going on here is that there was a data version of the world that was created. This data version of the world that was created became the world that we know of in Union Cross. Brain, who wasn't chosen by the Masters to be one of these people, which is exactly what he told Master Ava in one of the cutscenes after Union Cross was released, if someone else becomes a wielder of the Book of Prophecies, it could lead to the destruction of the worlds. Pause. So this must be how Scold got out of there, because Brain allowed them to get out. And this is exactly what's mentioned. She says 4 Keyblade, Ansem the Seeker of Darkness talks about 4 Keyblade wielders, or her and 4 individuals, her friends, making it out of a world. That's the world that they're talking about. So that world does still in fact reach ruin, and that's what happens to Skull. So where we're working our way to in Kingdom Hearts Union Cross right now is the destruction of their world. Observations, Excerpt 2. Even on a world line with no Keyblade War, peace is but a dream. In the absence of us and our master, a darkness arrived, one that shall surely lead the world to yet another demise. See, amid the chaos, I bequeathed my Keyblade to one of the Union leaders, just as the master instructed. I watched as the 5 were sent to another world line at no small cost, ensuring the line of Keyblade wielders will live on. And now, Keybladeless, I must depart this land to fulfill my final task. This means casting my own body aside and sojourning my heart in vessel after vessel, as many as it takes. But I will continue gazing upon each passing era, one unto the next, in time, be it years or decades, centuries or millennia. Thank you for still leaving this vague, Nomura. I will meet the 5 once more. Somewhere in this cyclical history of bequeathings, a chosen one will appear and reenact the Keyblade War. When this scapegoat arrives and takes my Keyblade in hand, that will be the time to take the stage and finish my role. The Lost Masters will awaken. So the Lost Masters, the foretellers, apparently are asleep. Dudes, I need to read this again. I won't read it now, but it seems like, I'm going to give you guys the gist of how I'm getting it. What it seems like is that he's saying is that the world line for the Keyblade wielders within Kingdom Hearts Union Cross, the Union leaders, they escaped the world, but at no short cost. I think escaping the world probably led to what happened to them. I think this is how we got the... Dude, go back. I think this is how we got the creation of Marluxia, Larcene. Eventually we're gonna find out about Brain. Eventually we're gonna find out about someone else. Dude, Brain could be fucking Yozora. Yozora could, oh my god, Yozora could be Brain. Yozora could be Brain's nobody. That's what I'm getting at. Yozora could be Brain's nobody. Or he could be Brain without his memories and he developed a whole new identity. Jesus God, dude. Oh my god. I'm losing myself. Amid the chaos, I bequeathed my Keyblade to one of the Union leaders. Okay. He bequeathed his Keyblade to one of the Union leaders. I'm guessing this Union leader is more than likely none other than Ephemera. He's the only Union leader we don't know about so far. We know that Scold is obviously the girl. Scold is the girl, 100%. Strelitzia is the girl that's in heaven and stuff, or the final world, waiting on Marluxia or Laurium to remember her. Laurium is going to be resurrected in the modern time. Ventus is with Ventus, Terra, and Aqua. That makes 4, and that leaves Brain. So we know that Ventus does not wield Master Xehanort's Keyblade. We know that Marluxia, his whole point of being a character, period, was to try and get his hands on the Keyblade. He wanted to get his hands on the Keyblade wielder. Remember, Marluxia / Laurium are the only ones that still remember the events of the past. And then we have, of course, let me see, we have, who am I thinking about? Ventus. He doesn't wield Xehanort's Keyblade either. And then we know that obviously, who is the fourth? The fourth is Ephemera, right? Ephemera, who we know joins with Sora. He's dead now. So Ephemera has to be the character that was bequeathed. Because with Brain, he said that Brain isn't one of the chosen. Somebody pulled a switcheroo, and I think that, remember, Strelitzia was supposed to become one of the Union leaders of the future. She was supposed to become one of them, but she was killed off. And now we learn that Brain also has the Book of Prophecies. We just learned that. And the final one, Observations Excerpt 3. It seems this name will be my last. The lives I have lived over the ages could fill volumes, but for now I must focus on what matters most. The Keyblade has been successfully passed down generation to generation, and it seems a Keyblade master devoted to the darkness may finally arise. Until now, I have watched over the course of events from a distance. Perhaps the time has come to intervene. I need only play the role of a fool desirous of the Keyblade's power. Excuse me, guys. I will don the mask of his ally in order to keep watch over my Keyblade from close by. The gazing eye, a Keyblade forged from the eye of the Master of Masters. He passed it to me as I have to others, and through it he can see the future. All that will ever come to pass, spanning the ages in body after body, life after life. My task has been to keep vigil over the eye as it passes from hand to hand. It has been a long time, longer than I can express. But now at last the Keyblade War has begun, and Kingdom Hearts will open, a true and complete Kingdom Hearts, born of the clash between darkness and light. I will soon be reunited with my old companions, and in that moment my long vigil will reach its end. He will return. Sweet Jesus, dudes. Oh my god, the Master of Masters, he's coming, baby. He's coming, baby. It's time for the next villain cycle. So, This is very fucking, oh my god, this is very fucking intriguing. What this is saying is that the foretellers, this is why Ava doesn't appear in the epilogue, which I'll be playing in the background. This is why Ava doesn't appear. She doesn't appear because the foretellers are being called upon. Whether or not this means all of them are connected at the heart or not, well, it did make it sound like in excerpt 1, okay, in excerpt 1, it made it sound like the foretellers were asleep. The Lost Masters were asleep, which is the name for the foretellers, the Lost Masters. It made it sound like they were asleep. And with that, of course, with them being reawoken by Luxu after the summoning of Kingdom Hearts by the Keyblade Wielder of Darkness, which is mentioned here, a Keyblade Master devoted to darkness. There you go. The Keyblade Master devoted to darkness, with the opening of Kingdom Hearts, with that making it possible or giving him the sign to go ahead and awaken them, now the Master of Masters will return. Dude, everything is starting to piece up together so perfectly. Like, Kingdom Hearts 3, the more I said Kingdom Hearts 3 was the story of resolutions within Kingdom Hearts. Dude, this brought to a close so many questions. It sets up so many characters, like Isa. I think Isa is probably going to become a Keyblade wielder. Namine may become a Keyblade wielder. And we know that, of course, there's a new chess game within the epilogue. I'm going to have to make a video for this all on its own. This new chess game obviously is going to be 7 darknesses versus 13 lights. That's what it's going to become. Remember, the Master of Masters was speaking about, of course, obviously, to Luxu, and when he was going through the Book of Prophecies, finna give him his role, he said, come on, you plus me and the other 5 makes 7. But Master Ava didn't appear, and I think this is why we don't see, well, we do see, I think we do see Master Ava's piece on the chessboard with the pieces of darkness, though I do think she will switch sides. She will be a master with, of course, she'll be aligned with the 13 lights, or she'll guide the 13 lights. She probably won't fight with him, but she'll guide the 13 lights. And then, of course, when it comes to the 7 darknesses, we do get to see, of course, that there is a new piece added. This new piece added is the piece that looks exactly like the emblem on the heart that the Union members, or the new players, the Union members, see when they're at the Station of Awakening at the beginning of Kingdom Hearts Key. So I don't know if that means that our player character will be one of these individuals of the new 7 darknesses, but who knows, man. But that's it for the secret reports for Kingdom Hearts 3. I hope you guys enjoyed it. This has been your boy Amaziah. Don't forget to do a little A-class gaming, and everything you do, don't forget to keep it A-class. And I will be doing a lot of singular videos for this content, so hopefully, of course, that stuff does well as well. But I know that you guys really do love when I do these secret report readings. So thank you guys, and peace the heck out.